Hey, it's Chris. I have a Pokemon Home subscription and need to justify it to the internet to feel something. Oh, so we're gonna look through my work in progress Living Dex because it's the day before Pokemon Scarlet and Violet release, at least is the time of I'm recording this, which means that Generation 8 is coming to an end. We are literally on the eve, or I at least at this moment am literally on the eve of Generation 9. So I thought, hey, why not? This has been like a on and off ongoing project for me, and I figured why not just show off where it's at. I mean, this is what this second channel is for. My stupid interests that I can't justify anywhere else. I'll just talk about them here. Why not? So I guess if you don't know, I don't talk about Pokemon on the internet because Pokemon is an exhausting thing to talk about on the internet. You can't mention Pokemon without grievances being aired immediately. And I agree with all the grievances and critiques and complaints. I'm right there with everyone. It'd be nice to talk about the series and the things I like about it still without that immediately coming up. So I don't really talk about it online. So just bear with me here. So you can see, I've been playing since, I think I got blue version as a kid, and I never really fell out of Pokemon the way people do. Like I had some definite spots where I was less interested. Like I'd say, you know, like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, I skipped out on. I didn't get Fire Red or Leaf Green as a kid. Like there were some times where I was kind of out of it, but a game would generally always come after that I was more excited for, right? Like after Fire Red and Leaf Green, like, well, I was pretty excited for Diamond version, and while I kind of skipped Sword at launch, I eventually swung back around and, you know, played it and got real into at least like the DLC stuff, right? So a lot of stuff here. If I'm correct, maybe pre-Legends Arceus, but at one point I know if this Pokédex was to be considered complete, it would have 884 there. I think Legends Arceus may have added some to this count. Honestly, there's so many Pokemon now, I'm not even sure. And then you got to consider the forms, but needless to say, I've at least made most of the Pokemon Touch Pokemon Home to register in the Pokédex. And even just here, I've just added some more from Legends Arceus right before this. Because like I had them in the game, but I hadn't moved them over yet, right? There they are. But it's weird because like I would consider the Hisuian versions as part of Legends Arceus, but they're not here. So that kind of wraps back around to what I like about having a Living Dex. And then there's some Pokemon where I have them, I just still haven't put them in the game yet, right? I caught a lot of the Ultra Beasts in the Pokemon Sword Crown Tundra DLC. I just have not moved them over yet. So some of these Pokemon I do have, but we're just going to look at what I've bothered to put in so far. Because this is a work in progress Living Dex, and I'm always teetering on the edge of adding an extra challenge for myself that I'll talk about probably pretty soon. And so I've kind of held off on putting some Pokemon in here. But for the moment, you can see my Switch play history here at least. 140 hours in Sword, and I just added another 15 on the second profile for reasons we'll get to. Like 85 in that. Some things I've booted up, like Shining Pearl, just to go and get some of the mythical Pokemon that were timed exclusive. And then Pokemon Shield I just rented through Gamefly when I had a subscription, just to get a Wi-Fi mystery gift. It's not fun being so hopelessly down the drain for Pokemon, but you know, what are you going to do? Okay, so we'll connect here. I have 1,061 Pokemon in Pokemon Home. The first 2 pages of my box spaces here are basically dedicated to my Living Dex as it is now. There's some extra stuff here. I follow the ordering on some site I found because they basically copied the Pokemon Home interface, which made it really easy for my brain to sort through and see what I had. You can click on Pokemon to track if you registered them, and you can save it, and you can even like link your Living Dex out to other people. Like I'll put mine in the video description as an example if you just want to look at that site, or maybe look at it and consider keeping it for yourself, like if you ever want to do this. And I have some other Pokemon just kind of randomly scattered about, but you know, just to get into it, my first box with the Pokemon Home trading app, which for some, or the Pokemon Home mobile app, I guess I should say, I treat it like a trading app. It has features the Switch version here doesn't, and I think it defaults like Wonder Trades into the first box and stuff like that. So I just always keep my first box clear of anything, just so I can always know where Pokemon traded in are going to get dumped to. Kind of annoying, and I wish I could, you know, handle that stuff through the app. This thing I pay money for yearly, but you know, Pokemon. Again, even I'm sitting here, it's hard not to get into the grievances, but anyway. Yes, my Living Dex, and I just have it Kanto 1, and as you can see, these are the first, what, 20, 30 Pokemon? There they are. If you're not familiar with this process, you see these little G's on these guys here. That's because they came from Pokemon Go. I almost said Go. Pokemon Go. And that little G over each one of them says this is from Pokemon Go. So if you see that, or if I take this out and you see all these little G's on these boxes and you're not sure what that means, that just means there are Pokemon in that box from Go, which would be really handy, except I can't take these Pokemon back out into Go. It's a one-way ride, as it is for most of the things with Pokemon Home. Which confuses me, because there are ways to go in and see where the Pokemon came from. Like this is a Pokemon Home event gift Pokemon, and it tells me that they're at the bottom right. The owner trainer's home. Head up top, it can Gigantamax, so it has the X, it's level 14, and then that little symbol tells you that the origin mark, it's called, that tells you what game it's from. So like if I go over here, this Ivysaur comes from Galar, Pokemon Sword and Shield. So that mark tells me this is a Sword and Shield Pokemon. At a glance, I can just look at that and tell. This is from Kalos. It has the pentagram, X and Y. Perfect, bang up. It bothers my brain so bad to see those little G's there, to the point that I want to replace any Pokemon in my Living Dex that comes from Go, except for 2, just to get rid of these G's. It bothers me so bad. It feels like a little letter on these Pokemon saying that they're different and weird, and I'm like, what are we doing, guys? But yes, I guess we'll talk about some of the Pokemon along the way, right? Like the stories are part of the point here. This is a Pokemon Home Bulbasaur. It's just given, you know, they just distributed some Pokemon over time. I have a few more here. These are all Pokemon Home kind of gift event Pokemon. They all have different attributes or reasons for existing. I think this one's just, hey, here's a Pikachu. You downloaded the app. These are both level 5. I would imagine these might be like, oh, you put a Pokemon in Pokemon Home from Pokemon Let's Go. Here you go. Maybe. And sometimes they just give them out like it's a Rotom. Game Freak really likes Rotom, so I don't remember why a lot of these were given out. This Squirtle can oh, we're going the wrong way. Oh no, what? There's a Squirtle somewhere here that can Gigantamax, so I'm pretty sure that was just a Pokemon Sword and Shield event tie-in kind of thing. A level 60 Pokemon Home Pikachu from Germany? What? There must have been something happening in Germany. I don't know. But yeah, Hisuian origin starters. I think there was a thing where if you put these 3 Pokemon into Pokemon Home, the game would go, oh, okay. Here's the Diamond and Pearl starters. You know, the Sinnoh starter, since Hisui is the past version of Sinnoh. So it was like, all right, you put one of each in there, you get one of each of starters and their event. I think the origin mark is Legends Arceus. Just weird little stuff, right? Weird little event Pokemon that I just kind of keep over here just so I can look at them and go, oh yeah. So at some point I want to swap in a different Bulbasaur just to kind of move this one back in with the rest, but that's what's going on there. Is it the same deal with this guy? No, this is just the Charmander you get in Sword and Shield. Okay. Probably got that one on stream. That stream archive is on this very channel if you need to see me come to terms with Pokemon Sword existing in real time. But, you know, it's Kanto, right? These Pokemon are from all over the place. There's some Pokemon Go. Hang on. This one doesn't have the symbol, but is from Pokemon Go. So what's the deal? All right, well, forget all that. Yeah, some of them are from Kalos, some of them are from Let's Go Pikachu. Some of them are from the Virtual Console 3DS versions of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. You'll see a little Game Boy up at the top there, and it says Sinnoh been first met in the Kanto region in the good old days. That's the tip to what I want to try and do with Kanto through Johto, because Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal all got Virtual Console releases. So there's a part of me that's like, oh man, before the 3DS internet servers get shut down someday, it'd be cool to have a whole squad rocking. And I've got some other stuff going on here of all the Pokemon from back then. And I've already started on this a bit with my Crystal playthrough, but I made a grave error. I had my 3DS set to 2043, as you can tell by the bottom. That doesn't quite fly, but it took that as the export date. It didn't do like a runtime check on clocks on internet servers. It just said, oh, it's 2043. Here's your Stantler. So I gotta catch new versions of these Pokemon and export them on the accurate time. But that is what I'd like to do with it in the end, is just have all that. And I want to get even crazier. There's this challenge online I saw. It's by a YouTuber who does this. It's the Birdkeeper Toby Master Dex Challenge. And he even posits like, oh, your Pokemon that evolve in a later game, you can still transfer into that game thanks to the Virtual Console releases. So in theory, I can take a Stantler from Gold, Silver, and Crystal and then bring it into Pokemon Legends Arceus and have a Leerdeer that will be from Johto on the thing and have the little Game Boy origin mark and all that stuff. And I'm like, that sounds kind of sick, actually. Like, there's some cool kind of nerd cred to doing that I kind of, that just tickles a part of my brain that I really like. But again, that's like long-term crazy. Like, if I get bored doing the rest of this, I might do that kind of stuff. But, you know, I do like to go back and play the old games. So at some point, like, I'm still on that Crystal playthrough. At some point, I will get back to that. So, you know, at that point, why not, right? But for the most part, you know, Kanto is Kanto. We've all seen these Pokemon a million times. I don't really have any interesting ones here, I don't think. I was looking at how kind of not great the models and everything for Grimer and Muck are here. You know, we can look at that and go, oh my god, it's disgusting. Working as intended. It's interesting to look and see like which gaps I had to fill with Pokemon Go. It's a word to sounds, yeah. But you know, it's Kanto. What are you going to say? You know what I mean? These are just variously grabbed from X and Y, Let's Go, and some Pokemon Go stuff, and some filling in from like Sword and Shield. And then due to the numbering system, Mew was stuck out here all by itself. A fateful encounter in X and Y on February 21st, 2016. I don't know what X and Y event that would have been, but that's what it is. Then I have a box here, and this is where we get into the Living Dex nutso territory. Female variants for each of the Pokemon. If they have a visual difference, if the Pokédex treats it as a different form, I'd like to have it. You know, with Butterfree, I skipped past Venusaur because I couldn't remember the difference, but it has the little black circle near its bum on the wings. That's the difference. Rattata, I believe, is the whisker. Pikachu is the tail shape. It's all of this stuff. So just some of the ones I've noticed I just kind of tossed them in here just to kind of get the ball rolling on that. The unobtainable box is the Pikachus with different hats. I think you can still access one of these regularly in Sun and Moon, but the rest of them are a crapshoot. But, you know, it's an interesting Pikachu, right? So I have it there with the hopes that maybe someday something will happen there. And real quick, I have my Johto boxes. You can see that I've cleared these out with the intent of getting this to the thing. And this is where I switched the date on my 3DS to the actual date the other week, just to kind of make sure it would work fine. It did. So this Cyndaquil and this Quilava, they're set. They're good. I got one of them. I'm going to move into Legends Arceus to try to get a Hisuian Typhlosion from Johto. But the rest of these are 2043. So we got to go back to where the ones I used to have in here. These were my Johto Living Dex boxes. Much more fleshed out. But so many of them are from Pokemon Go. Because that's just where a lot of my Johto Pokemon on hand were. So I shuffled a lot of them in. But as you can see, it's much more full. It's much more filled in. He's very finicky. But I kind of put it to the side when I started my Crystal playthrough, just to be like, all right, we'll see how many I can fill in from the authentic Pokemon Crystal. And then I have a fourth box, and there's some interesting ones in this fourth box that I'm still trying to kind of figure out what happened. Start here. I have a Celebi, also from Kalos. Must have been an event, right? Pretty cool. I have a Ho-Oh from Johto. That would be Soul Silver, I imagine. It's level 70, so I think that's the one you can come back to post-game and get. And I have my Lugia from Soul Silver. That's the one I went through my playthrough with. Sebast's Tyranitar. I must have Wonder Traded that or something. Pokemon Go. And then I have the shiny legendary beasts. Always called the dogs, even though they appear to be different types of cats. Now, these tie into the Pokemon Zoroark, Illusion of Zoroark movie that was released. I'm not very familiar with the movies and animes past the early years, but these were to tie in with Pokemon Black and White, and there was a movie where Zoroark would shift between legendary shiny beasts or whatever. So I went to GameStop to get these, but they all say March 10th, and I think only one of them was available during that time frame. You had to go back like every week or every couple weeks to get the next one. Somehow I have them all on the same day, but I know I legitimately got them, and I know they do host fan servers to get the Wi-Fi events. But that wasn't on March 10th, 2011, and I wouldn't have set my date back. Like, I was there, I got these. So I don't know what happened there. That makes them look fake. They're real, but either way, it's a neat thing to have, especially like almost 12 years later at this point, just to go back and be like, oh yeah, I got shiny legendary Johto dogs. Yeah, all right. Well, that's all the interesting stuff there. I do happen to have a Celebi. I have a few Celebis around. That's why those boxes are empty. I have a couple of the female ones here. This is an event one. Summer 2014. That must have been a Pokemon VGC, the championship competition distribution. I have my unknown decks with the two unknowns from their original region, the Kanto Sevi Islands. That's their debut. So I went ahead and did the legwork on that. And we get the Hoenn. And this is where we get a bunch of different mixtures. I have a Mudkip from the Mudkip Pokemon Go Community Day. I still have a whole bunch of these on my account, but I don't think I got my Alpha Sapphire out recently to get Pokemon into Pokemon Home, so I'm sure a good bit of this I could fill in pretty easily. I have this shiny Dustox I got over Wonder Trade. I think it's pretty neat. So he's just chilling in here. Sorry, she's just chilling in there. For the most part, there's not really anything interesting here. It's a lot of Pokemon Go Pokemon, because I hoard in Pokemon Go pretty bad. Just in case I ever need to fill something in pretty easily. Some pretty nebulous gaps here, like Spoink. There's no Kecleon, because to this day, Kecleon has never been released in Pokemon Go. Fun fact. Oh, wait, no, we have a Kecleon. Sorry, wrong page. I got that in Alpha Sapphire, so I guess... Wait, this is Kalos. No, Hoenn. Yeah. Huh. Alright. I've already forgotten what the Pokemon X and Y in ORAS origin mark differentiators are then. Is this a Pokerus? I think that little pink emoticon up there means it has Pokerus. Well, that's neat. Then you roll through. These are the Regirocks, or the Regis from the Crown Tundra DLC. Got them all over the same few days there. Groudon from Johto. So that's from Soul Silver also. That's a weird Groudon to have. Don't remember catching it there. I know you can. I just don't remember doing it. A Jirachi XY event. I feel like this is maybe the time where they were actually committing to at-home Wi-Fi mystery gift events. The way it should be. Where you just know that it's happening and you connect, or you put in a code that you get and you're good. A lot of mythicals I got that way. A Deoxys from Unova. Interesting. My two female versions here. A lot of this stuff is incomplete. It'll get more complete as we go on. The main reason I'm making this is because I finished my Galarian Dex, actually. And I have a spot for Hoenn alternate forms at the moment. These are just the 3 Deoxyses. I haven't even thought of how I'm going to go through with that. Then we have Sinnoh. I could very easily fill this in between Brilliant Diamond and Legends Arceus, but I'm keeping in mind that every game from its, or every Pokemon from its original game challenge, so I haven't quite yet. Maybe I should have before doing this, but hey, this is where we're at right now. You know, it's all real. Yeah, not too much to say though. You know, it is a Diamond and Pearl Pokemon. We've seen a lot of them recently between those two, the remakes and the prequel we just got. I've warmed up to most of the Gen 4 evolutions to older Pokemon. I still don't like Rhyperior. I feel kind of bad because my Rhyperior in Pokemon Go carries a lot of battles for me, but I still don't like the look of it. I don't know. I've got some interesting stuff going on here. A Rotom from Unova. Sinnoh, March 13th, 2011. So these are from the original games. Then I have the shiny Dialga. This is one from the fan-run DNS server, and this is where I think everyone will have to draw their own line on whether it's legitimate or not. I think it's cool to have a shiny Dialga. I'm never going to soft reset for a shiny legendary at this point in my life. I already have enough on my plate with Pokemon. So I thought, you know what, heck it, why not? I got it along the way, since you just get served a random event when you do this. I got it on the way to getting some other mythicals that I was just like, you know what, it's from a legitimate source. The Pokemon are technically legitimate. They're just out of the time they were meant to be distributed. So you know what? I drew my line and that's okay for me. I think it's acceptable. But every hardcore Pokemon fan is going to have their own place where they land on that. Same with this Giratina. Same deal going on there. Cresselia, also from Diamond and Pearl. A Unovan Fione. Interesting. Yeah, so I got in all my legendaries from the correct game. Now, Arceus, could you legitimately get a level 100 Arceus back then? that may be an event one. I'm not too sure. Yeah, Toys R Us. Okay. I never got to make it to a Toys R Us, actually. So these are also event distributed from the thing we were just talking about. But that's the owner trainer Chris. That's me. And that one's from Boar? Okay. Oh, and that Palkia from Bree. It's been a decade. I can't remember where I got some of these from. These are the wrong Pokemon. I think I put these in here because I just reorganized all these boxes the other week. Jillison's correct. Right? No, Jillison is also wrong. And Pyroar is from X and Y? But Obama, Snow, and Rhyperior are correct. These two, don't worry about them. A lot of female Sinnoh versions here, but I don't have most of them sorted out right now. And some alternate forms. There's a X and Y Rotom. They were in the DLC. I think the Rotom stuff was in the Isle of Armor. So I got these guys hanging out in here. And then my Unova boxes. This Victini is from the actual event in Pokemon Black and White. This isn't one I got later via distribution. This was for playing the game, I think. At launch, or, launch window. I'm pretty sure that's what the event was for. And I got my little Yorkie Pokemon here. We've had Yorkies in my family throughout the years, so I like having these guys out. Living Dex is a little more filled in. These guys have been around a bit more, especially in Sword and Shield. You could get a lot of Pokemon Black and White Pokemon pretty easily. This Lilligant's from Japan. Must have wonder traded that. I'm kind of fiending for a Black and White replay, so I might do that at some point and just kind of get all this going, Pokemon X and Y Zoroark. Alright. There's Jillison. Okay, so that female one should go after this one at some point. I still got some organizing to do, apparently. This is relatively fleshed out, though. Like, these Pokemon have been more available recently, which is good. These must be... Yeah, these are from probably my Pokemon Black. I played so much Pokemon Black. I almost had a complete Pokédex in just Pokemon Black itself. Like, I played it so much. By myself, too. That was the time period where, like, I was trying to talk to people, kids in my school, to be like, no, this one looks good, guys. And everyone was like, all the new Pokemon look dumb, and the music's dumb, and Stunfisk makes a fart noise. What are they even doing? There's none of the old Pokemon. And I was like, guys, this game looks great. What? So I was like the only one still playing, and I went into it hard. I was so into it. I really liked Pokemon Black. Yeah, Tornadus. He is from Pokemon Black and White, but that's a Wonder Traded random Japanese one. This must be an event Pokemon. It has the Cherish Ball. There from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Okay. And a Reshiram. That's my Reshiram from Pokemon Black. Okay. So that's neat. That's the cool thing about this. That's one of the things I like about it, is like I can look at my Reshiram from way back then and go, ah, man, there's my Reshiram. Like, that's the one from my first playthrough of Pokemon Black, and he's still hanging out. I think that's pretty cool. That's an event one there. This must have been my Kyurem. Yeah, from Pokemon Black. This Keldeo is... I was very tuned in back then, so I think I would have gotten this one organically, but it could have been from the fan-run DNS server. This Genesect I definitely got back then. And then there's this... Oh, that loops back around. Okay. I was wondering why there was a second Reshiram. Then there's some forms. We'll get back to that one. 3 of these are from the Pokemon Dream Radar. So these are my versions of these Pokemon from it. They are all in Dream Balls, I believe. That's kind of another way you can tell on top of like their alternate forms, right? So that's neat. Pokemon Dream Radar is a weird thing, so I like having Pokemon from it. Just because who the hell knows what Pokemon Dream Radar is anymore, you know? Okay, this is when I just looked and was like, I need to make sure I'm another Keldale. This one is definitely from the DNS server. I think I need to form change it. Is that why? Yeah, okay, because this is an alternate. Is this in the right spot? No, I want to swap those at some point. Okay. And then I have a White Stripe Basculin, which is technically a Unova alternate form, I think, but I don't think this is where I would put it, but I do have it there. That's from Legends Arceus. Then we have the Pokemon X and Y crew. This should be my Greninja from the game. Yep, level 100. Played quite a bit of Pokemon X also. That's not me saying I like it as much, but I did play a lot of it. So a fair bit of these, yeah. The owner trainer's Chris, they're the OT. So a good few of these were original Pokemon X Pokemon from my playthrough. And then of course, a lot of these were also available in Pokemon Sword and Shield, so. Yeah, like that's just my Tyrant from the game. Yancy. Interesting Pokemon in X and Y. And also the Gumi line, which for some reason I always remember as being from Sun and Moon. That's like one of the mix-ups I always get. I think for the most part, like, I liked Pokemon Black and White Pokemon, but I feel like there was a distinct like general design shift starting with X and Y, and it's kind of started an upward trend of Pokemon design that we're kind of still on. I haven't seen everything in Scarlet and Violet yet, but for the most part, I just look at the Pokemon since then and I'm like, yeah, these just keep getting better and better. Like, I'm actually really happy with a lot of new age Pokemon. So I just look at some of these and I'm like, oh yeah, Hawlucha, Sylveon, Inkay and Malamar, like the line on that is so cool. Clauncher and Clawitzer, I really like those. Klefki's neat. The Goodra line, Gumi, good stuff. I don't think they're all winners. I think Carbunk or Barbaracle. I was gonna say Carbuncle. Barbaracle is one of my least favorite Pokemon ever. I hate this thing. I hate it. I don't like a single thing about this Pokemon. But other than that, I've got a Pumpkaboo and Gorgeized. Bergmite, I can take or leave. Avalug's okay. Okay, I thought this was a shiny Xerneas, but I forget sometimes there was like an inactive and active form of Xerneas. And what that meant is that when you threw it out into battle, it would turn into active form and like color on, so to speak. And then when the battle ends, it went back to inactive. It's not like a form you really control. It's just a weird thing they introduced. And Xerneas is not here, but Xerneas did not have that. So I don't know why they did that, but they did that. Let's see. This is my Zygarde from X and Y. A very obligatory feeling Pokemon in every sense of the word. This is not my Deontay, right? It might be from the fan run server, but I think I was there when Deontay came out. And then a Hoopa. I think I got that event legitimately. Oh, it's the 3DS era. I think it has to be, yeah. I don't think there's fan run servers for the 3DS stuff yet. And then one of the newest additions, thanks to famous Twitch streamer JTart9, he was able to run and get me the Volcanion and I think Genesect codes from GameStop the other week. So I finally got a Volcanion thanks to him. I did not have this Pokemon before. So thank you again, Justin. Then there's the alternate forms with the different Pumpkaboo sizes. It's hard to tell, but there's like 4 different sizes of Pumpkaboo. Even in here, like you kind of just got to watch the tip of its tail just to be like, oh, I guess it is moving up, huh? And a similar deal with Gorgeist. I haven't spent the time to get the same sizes but evolved. But all these alternates include the Furfros and the Forges and Flabebe. And then there's the Zygardes and then a Hoopa Unbound that will go here. I don't know how to get the Hoopa Unbound. I haven't looked into it. And then there's the Vivillon Patterns. This one, it seems like it would be a daunting one to get. Why is this one called Peanut? Okay. Number 666. But aside from the event ones, you can just take your 3DS, I think, switch to region, and then start a new file on X or Y. And then when you get a Vivillon evolved, it'll turn into that region's Vivillon. So if you have a 3DS and Pokemon X or Y, you can get almost all of the patterns. You don't have to worry about it. Like, I'm just going to pick a day where I want to listen to a podcast or put on like a YouTube video series or something stupid and just fill this out. It seems daunting, but you can actually do it pretty okay. Then there's my Alolan Pokemon. Most of these being from Sword and Shield. At some point, I'll go in and transfer out my actual Pokemon from Sun, but I apparently never did. And again, like, a lot of these were available in Sword and Shield, so I just went and got them there. I even just did a second playthrough of Sword with a Kamo on my team, just to kind of get a sense of that Pokemon, because I never had a chance to use it, and it is pretty cool. That's not the one I used, but yeah, I have respect for that Pokemon now. I did not before. Why am I getting Discord? Okay, let me mute that for a bit. Then of course, Alolan alternate forms. I just have the Midnight form of Lycanroc. This is where your Miniors would go. And then I have the Alolan variants, and this, not all of them, but you know, a decent number of them. Some of these can come from Let's Go. I like the regional form thing. It was maybe a little weaker when they first introduced it, just because they were all exclusively Gen 1 Pokemon, like Kanto. But still pretty cool. It is one of my favorite newer things about Pokemon is the regional form concept. And this wasn't like the strongest introduction it would have been due to that, just being Gen 1 focused, but still pretty cool. Past that, we have the unknown region, because we still don't have a specific tie for Meltan and Melmetal. And when I mentioned the two Pokemon that I'm okay with being from Pokemon Go, kind of obviously has to be these two. So they just got their own little box. Like, I could have thrown them in with Sun and Moon, but you know, they're weird, unique, special case Pokemon. I kind of like just having them out in their own little box. Then we get to the part where, barring one technically Pokemon, barring two technically Pokemon, from here on, my Living Dex is complete until midnight. Then it becomes incomplete for new age stuff. But Gen 8, I have mostly in the bag. It starts with the starters, as you would expect. Are any of these? Yeah, okay, that's a Pokemon Home Grookey, so I might want to swap these out also. Pokemon Home Scorbunny and a Pokemon Home Sobble. So those are 3 more Pokemon Home event Pokemon. Yeah, it's from the Galar region. It's the new Pokemon. They're all from Sword and Shield. So going forward, that part of this is done. I'm very fond of these Pokemon. I think by and large, this is a very strong set of designs. I like pretty much all of them, save for a couple. Like, Toxel freaks me out a little bit. Sizzle, Sinnoh. It's not my Sinnoh from the playthrough, if anyone watched and is wondering. Yeah, I don't know. I just think they're all pretty neat. Grimmsnarl kind of fucks with me a little bit, but you know, you got Obstagoon, Berserker, Cursula. Man, I hate that this was Shield exclusive because I would have loved to rock Ursula when I played through the game. That's an interesting, such an interesting Pokemon idea to evolve randomly from Johto. Of course, we got Surfetched, and this is mine from the playthrough. Yeah, this is the one we did the stream with. Mr. Rhyme, Runerigus. We'll talk about Alchemy in a minute. Ice Cube is another Shield exclusive, I think, that I would have loved to have been able to get and just play through the game with, but no dice. You know, and there's stuff like Morpeko. The fossil Pokemon are so creative this time around. The Dragon Ghost types here. Here's the shiny Zamazenta to go with the shiny Zacian we showed earlier. This is mine from the stream, but since I don't have Shield, I couldn't get a regular Zamazenta. So when I mentioned I gameflied Shield for half an hour, at one point it was to get this. I was like, I'm already paying for Gamefly. I'll just air quote rent Pokemon Shield, put the mystery gift in, and send it back and get that Pokemon. So I did get a Zamazenta, and I saved myself some time with it, so it works out. There's Eternatus. One of two. We'll get around to it. This is when I can start expressing my descent into madness, though, as part of the Living Dex situation. There are other times where I will have a descent into madness moment, but to lay this out, and to skip ahead real quick, Kubfu and Urshifu are from the Isle of Armor Pokemon DLC, right? Sorry, I got a text message. I'm not editing this. Sorry. They're from the Isle of Armor DLC, and the gimmick is Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield both had access to it, but as part of it, both DLC packs kind of have choices, right? You choose one Pokemon over another. And for the Isle of Armor, it was, what do you evolve Kubfu into? Do you evolve it into the single strike form Urshifu or the rapid strike Urshifu? One is fighting dark and the other is fighting water. It's pretty cool. It's about different martial arts styles. Great. You can only get one. You can't find a second Kubfu in your save file and raise it up the other way. Even in the game, they tell you, like, you can't just you can't trade in another Kubfu. They tell you when you pick one of the two towers to train in and evolve your Kubfu in, the other one is permanently closed forever, and they mean it. So what I had to do, and I did this, what's my catch date on this? November 7th. I did this like a couple weeks ago over the course of a few days with plenty of YouTube videos on in the background. I had to start new profiles on my Switch. I had to start new save data on my Switch because I have the complete cartridge of Pokemon Sword with the DLC on it. I would have to run through the opening of the game to where you can first go to the wild area. Then from there, you can go to the Isle of Armor because you're allowed to do that, and everything's around level 15 to level 30. So they do account for you just going there. And then I traded in some Pokemon back over through home to my main sword data to give them XP candies to make sure they could just steamroll anything. And then I had to take them back into my second, third, and fourth, and fifth saves and raise up some Kubfu and Urshifu. Because you'll be like, well, what's the big deal? Well, for one, for a Living Dex, you want to have one of each, right? And due to this, that's at least 3 playthroughs. On this Kubfu, I didn't have to evolve it, so that saved me a little bit of time, but honestly, getting through that tower is like 5 minutes if you're just steamrolling it. But then I have my Gigantamax Dexes of all Pokemon that are fully capable of Gigantamaxing and ready to go whenever, just in case I need them. So, not only did I go through it to get a Kubfu and 2 Urshifu, I did it to get a Kubfu and 4 Urshifu because these two can Gigantamax. So if you're wondering where I'm a little broke on all of this, that's where it comes from. But I did it. And another reason, not only was all of that a thing, you have to come back around to the Crown Tundra exclusive Pokemon. You pick one of the 2 new Regis they made, and you pick one of the 2 new horse Pokemon that Calyrex bonds with for the Reigns of Unity, and the other one is locked out. So on one of those additional profiles I created, I had to play through all of Pokemon Sword again to become the champion. Because while you can access the two DLC things, certain things are locked off. And to explain the Gigantamax one real quick, that's what's locked off on the Isle of Armor. You can go all the way to getting an Urshifu, but to Gigantamax it and complete the storyline of fighting Mustard again, I think, you have to have beaten Elite Four. He'll be like, Mykonos still needs to do what he's destined to do when he walks off. In the Crown Tundra, Calyrex won't let you catch it until you're the champion. So I had to play through all of Sword again, and then all of the Crown Tundra, just to get a Regidrago and a Glastrier. So, needless to say, that's a few dozen hours of my life collectively that I'm not getting back. I watched a lot of good YouTube videos in that time, but good God, all this work just to make sure I had it for this. And it was that point, I'm like, man, these Living Dex people are crazy. And then this is one of my two technicalities where I'd be like, oh, don't quite have an actual Living Dex yet. One of them is Zarude. This is where I start sounding insane. This is the Dada form of Zarude. This isn't base Zarude. This is the special form made just for the Pokemon. What was it was the Tarzan Pokemon movie. Is it Mystery of the Jungle, Myth of the Jungle, Secrets of the Jungle? He's the father figure to like a little human boy, and he has the scarf, and that's how you know he's a Dada form. But there is a base normal Zarude. I have it in Pokemon Go. I could transfer for it, but then I have that stupid G symbol I hate so much. So I'm just kind of holding out to see if they ever distribute a base Zarude. But I would say that's one of my two technicalities. We'll get to the other one in a minute. I didn't want to hit that button. But I got my Regieleki, and you can see November 14th, just the other day, I got this Regidrago, and I went and got Glastrier. Oh, I did it a year to the day after getting Spectre too. Look at that. Goodness gracious. And then Calyrex. And I stuffed some of my extra legendaries in a different box. He's always like, if I'm going to have to play through Sword again for these other Pokemon, I may as well keep all the spoils, right? Then I have my Galar alternate forms. So the website just kind of condenses the female and alternate form boxes at a point. So for this one, this is just the female version. The horns point down. That's a Shield exclusive Pokemon, but you can get it in Sword by breeding, and vice versa. Like in Shield, female is the one you get, and male is the one you have to breed or trade for. I found that out a little late. I have a low key, low energy toxicity. I have a regular Sinnoh and the authentic Sinnoh. And the only way you can tell on Pokemon Go is because I starred the authentic versions, because you can't look and tell for yourself. You can't move the model, right? So you can't tell which one is which. So I had to mark the ones that are the authentic ones. Because if you don't know, a Sinnoh and Poltegeist, there's like a weird thing where you have to look at their model in Pokemon Sword, and you have to like look at the bottom of the glass, and I think if there's like a little symbol, it's like an authentic one, and it's rare. And you can also tell because it'll evolve with like a specific item versus another specific item. Like that's your other tell. That took a while. Not as long as it could have, but man, it's such a neat gimmick. But if you're doing a Living Dex thing, and this seems specifically designed to torture Living Dex people, it's an interesting wrinkle. Then we have Galarian forms. You know, so this is where you get your Galarian Meowths and your Ponytas, Rapidashes. Slowpoke. I have this in Pokédex order, so you get the Isle of Armor Slowpoke and Slowbro. Crown Tundra Slowking is in a bit. Farfetch'd, the Weezing. Like, these are all cool. I like all of these, especially the legendary birds. These are such cool designs. I think these are really neat. So I got all of those. Pretty happy about that. Galarian Slowking. Larian Corsola, Zigzagoon, Lanoon. You know, the whole gamut here. Cool. My least favorite thing I've ever done in Pokemon is get literally one of each alchemy. Especially because some of the sweets, if you don't know, you have to give a sweet to a Milcery. It's the pre-evolution form. Then you have to give it a specific item and then turn your analog stick in certain directions for certain durations of time during certain stretches of the day, like morning, evening, night. Stupid. Some of the events, some of these forms, depending on which resources you find online, were only ever given out during timed raid battles online. You could only get them as rewards from like the alchemy events. And especially right now when we're in the end game of Sword and Shield and they're just flipped on Gigantamax raids and they're like, this is the last update we're ever doing. Here they are. Goodbye. There's no alchemy event that I could see. Maybe there is one. Maybe the alchemy Gigantamax actually gives it out. But the point here is that the information is outdated because you can get some of these from the Cramorant thing on the Crown Tundra. You can like synthesize the specific event raid only sweets, but it has such a low chance and the items you have to put in. Don't ever do this. Don't ever do this. I spent like a day and a half of active I'm going to sit down and play a video game time just on alchemy. I never want to do this again. If I could have just struck this from my own record and been like, this is a Living Dex, but I don't have all the alchemies, I would have been happier. Because look, why would they do this? There's like 70 alchemies here. Not to mention, I have the Gigantamax alchemy. So I bred like a base form alchemy strawberry sweet or whatever version this is, just to be like, here's the base one. Then I have one for my main Pokédex. Ugh. But yes, these are all Gigantamax capable Pokemon. Any female variants are included, so there's a male and female Butterfree. They can both Gigantamax. Smell Metal is another Pokemon home distribution. It came Gigantamax ready. I think it might have been the only way to get this Gigantamax now that I'm thinking about it. So if you didn't get it, I guess you're out of luck. I don't really know what's going on there. Starters and just Appleton and Flapple. Even though they both turn into, I think, the same Gigantamax form, gotta have them both. And then the Urshifu and two of those of Legend. But they're all ready. I need to put these into my sword and complete that Gigantamax Dex in that game at some point. But that's that. That's Pokemon Sword done and dusted, barring a Zarude. And it does feel good to have it, but man, this fucking alchemy, man. At least having to play through Sword again for Spectre and Regidrago, at least that was like, oh, well, I'm just playing the game again. But also, if you're wondering, part of the bittersweetness of it is that I did have a Regidrago from a Wonder Trade. It's one of the hacked ones. It's like a hacked shiny Regidrago, and I was like, I can't have this. I can't count this. I'm just gonna put this into my sword or something and release it, because I don't mind that it's fake, but I don't want it in my account because they do checks on like illegal Pokemon, I think, and like I don't even want to risk it. I think they'd look and be like, oh, okay, we can trace it, and this isn't something he did. This is just what he got, but don't feel comfy with it. And then we get to Legends Arceus and my other technical missing living Dex here. But we do have our Weirdeer, a Cleavor, Ursaluna, Basculegion, male and female, Sneasler, Overquill, one of my new favorite Pokemon ever. I love this dude. And then Enamorus. And like the other Pokemon Black and White Genies, Enamorus has a second Therian form. But you only get one Enamorus, so I'd have to play through the game again. So, you know, that's where that's at. That's why I can't say I have a complete Gen 8 Living Dex. Then of course you have the Hisui forms of all the Pokemon. I think all of these are pretty much bangers. That's going to be Hisui and Typhlosion. Oh, I meant to bring one in for this. I guess I didn't. Okay, well. I have 2 Hisui and Typhlosions. One's in my main party in Legends Arceus, so you'll just have to believe me. Bullfish, Sneasel, male and female. And I don't know if there's a way to tell in home, but I think one of these is an alpha Pokemon. Maybe you have to look at it in like the Pokemon Legends Arceus view or whatever, right? We have Bulligant here, Basculin, Zorua, Zoroark, Braviary, Slugoo, and Goodra, Avalugg, and Decidueye. Pretty neat. This is my progress so far. Even with 1,061 Pokemon in my home, I'm still missing a few hundred. So that's where I'm at. ADHD brain means I only focus on this for a few weeks every few months or so. We'll just scroll through my other ones here. But it is one of my long-term projects. I think this is maybe one of the DNS Wi-Fi event Pokemon. Here's an event Zygarde. That's weird and random, right? Shaman here. Some Eevees, just random stuff on all these boxes. Got a few Celebes. X and Y Game Freak distribution. And then Heart Gold, Soul Silver. That's when I probably got authentically back in the day, honestly. I have my red Gyarados from Soul Silver. He's hanging out. Jirachi distribution. Interesting. I got a shiny Eevee, a shiny Gengar. I think all of these might be just random event Pokemon, except for that Growlithe and this Rhyhorn. Is my Virizion from then. But yeah, whole lot going on here. This is my Johto kind of thing. This is my Wonder Box. This is where I just specifically put them into to trade around. Does this have own tempo? This does. This is an own tempo Rockruff. I need to put that aside. That'll come in handy later. This is my work in progress. Gen 1 from Virtual Console thing here. This is just what I've got. I haven't taken the time to sort them in. I want to just wait till it's all done for that. Random Pokemon. Nothing really special here. Same here. Just, you know, random Pokemon. Let's go Pokemon, basically. A shiny Gibble from Pokemon Go. Probably a Gibble Community Day. Pretty neat. These are the Pokemon, or these here are my legendaries from my Pokemon Sword run the other day, the second one. Because you have to catch all 3 Reggies on that save file to get to the new Reggie Pokemon. So, you know, I figured why not? I got the Suicune you have to get from the Dynamax Cave raid thing. There's a shiny Hydreigon here from some event, I'm pretty sure. Just more random Pokemon. More random Pokemon, yeah. Just kind of random Pokemon live in these last few boxes here. Usually it's just stuff I'd wonder trade and then just go a few boxes over and be like, all right, here, and put them there. A few cool things here to close this out. A random shiny Pikachu from Bullseye. Not really sure what's up with that. But it had a Fateful encounter, so it's some event Pokemon. The shiny Zacian, as shown before. A shiny Clauncher from Pokemon X and Y. This is one I got with the, if you remember the chain fishing method in Pokemon X and Y. I got this from there and I loved it. I love the color scheme. I just immediately was like, I like this dude. And I've kept him ever since. I think he's pretty cool. Then there are the shiny Galarian birds. These were given away if you entered into some Pokemon Sword and Shield Wi-Fi tournaments. And if you entered and did at least like 3 battles or something, you would be gifted a shiny version of each for all 3 events. And the shinies are, of course, the original color schemes for these Pokemon. So this is a really cool, really, really, really cool thing to have. I like this. They go well with my shiny Johto beasts. And then we circle back around. That's my Pokemon home. Living Dex and collections so far, barring all the Pokemon on individual things. I didn't expect this to go for an hour. I thought this would be like a cool 20-minute thing. So if you're still here, thanks. Good God. I'm so sorry, but hey, that's what's up. This isn't a thing I plan to like continuously update progress on. But, you know, next time I feel like there's something worth updating, you know, I'll upload it. If you're this far, you must care, or at least found a good background noise. So in a post Scarlet and Violet world, if I get a complete regional decks there, I'll probably do this again, but shorter, just to show those off and any other progress I might have made. The end goal is to have a complete one, and at that point I'll go through all this again probably. But yeah, until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy Pokemon too. I'll see you on the next one. I don't really know what to say. Thanks for joining me on this madness. All right, bye. Thank you. Oh.